Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I, the one and only Maxi here once again, and I am back for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Luigi's Mansion 2, aka Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon for those of you who lived in North America, for the Nintendo 3DS/Nintendo Switch, as part of the forms of Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, as the version we are still playing through. So, last time, we essentially did manage to complete the third mission in Haunted Towers, and that's what appears to be Mission B-3, Graveyard Shift, which not only about the fact that we did somehow manage able to capture the 8th Boo, as far as this is concerned. In addition to that, we also did manage to bump into Toad, and as a result, we did somehow save him, and as a result, we had to do an escort segment, and every once in a while, though, is about the fact that, well, we have to deal with the forms of the next sub-boss, and that's what appears to be Three Sisters. So, oh no, despite we get hit quite a few times, and during the forms within the Three Sisters sub-boss, but regardless of everything else, though, we still managed able to achieve ourselves a glorious 3-star ranking medal. So, yeah, everything else checks out there. So today, for this video, is that we're going to be continuing exploring the forms of Haunted Towers, and this time we're going on to the next mission, and that's what appears to be Mission B-4, Pool Party. So because of that, though, now, when it comes to the forms of this part right here, that basically though is about the fact that we might able to actually see what's going on. It seems to be more specifically those boos are actually working for those other types of ghosts here and there. So you may be wondering to yourself about the fact that it may look like one of those boos is actually holding the key. And also in addition to that, there's going to be some abundance of greenies here and there, and on top of that, there's going to be some even more different types of ghosts that we might able to actually come across into. And what is the other two boos are actually carrying, I wonder? Well, I suppose we should probably discuss more about that in a second, because in this part right here, you can able to actually use gyro sensing controls that basically though you can able to actually move around with the actual specific screen, and as a result you can able to actually see what's going on, or simply just use the analog stick if you prefer. So either way though, yeah, there's nothing else I could really say about this part, I guess, apart from the fact that you can able to actually zoom in and, wait a minute, that shoe picture looks familiar, doesn't it? Well, I suppose, no matter what though, we're not going to spoil things too much, especially concerning for the fact that, well, obviously though, we know exactly who's inside in that particular little bag thingy right there. But then again, no, we're not going to get into further details at this point in time. So either way, let's go ahead and go back onto the forms of, well, Haunted Towers. And fundamentally speaking, we can able to actually do some more stuff now. So, yeah, a few things I want to talk about is about the fact that, well, fundamentally speaking, is about the fact that, well, today's date, of course, is the 4th of September today. In some cases in 2024 today. And I actually got some exciting news to tell you guys. That's what appears to be about the fact that, yes, indeed, we actually got ourselves a bunch of information from the likes of Super Mario Party Jamboree, which I will talk more about that as soon as we're able to dive right into the actual mission itself. So it may look like we're about to be able to going over to that specific destination right here, as you can tell on the top right corner of the screen. So because of that, also I just want to classify for something is about the fact it has been about quite a few days since I actually have last uploaded something recently. But I suppose we should probably let Ray the Flying Squirrel, we'll discuss more about that specific detail until tomorrow when he goes back onto the Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening remake. Alright then, so let's get this mission started. So, now before we get into the actual mission itself, we need to able to suck up all these dirt right here. So not only about the fact that we can go for this familiar segment right here, but if we check on this tree again, and this time what appears to be about the fact that they've shown us gold greenie right there. So it's a good thing we did somehow spotted this from the start of this mission. So because of that though, everything else will become to expect. So because, you know, collecting money is always important, just in case for a levering up system, you know. So anyways, let's get into the forms of the most important aspect about the forms of today's discussion. That's of course, yes, as I mentioned this before, recently though is about the fact that Super Mario Party Jamboree has recently got not only new information, but as well as from that, the Japanese website has officially been updated to able to show us some more gameplay footage for certain boards ranging from Mega Wiggler's Tea Party, alongside with the forms of Goomba Lagoon, Roland Raceway, Rainbow Galleria, and in addition to the forms of Mario's Rainbow Castle and Western Land, and for the first time ever, we can now able to actually see proper gameplay footage for the likes of King Bowser's Keep. So because of that though, and fundamentally speaking, I was about the fact that I'm still really excited able to actually check out those boards in particular, especially when that game decides to come out until not too long actually, until to be more specifically until likely also a couple of weeks left. And presumably speaking, I was about the fact that I'm really hoping about the fact that the Mario Party mode will be playable not only for offline local play, but as well as the forms of online mode as well. So let's just see what really happens during at some point in the next couple of days. In addition to that, well, fundamentally speaking though, I have some good news for this point, folks. And that's what appears to be about the fact that there's actually yet another new playable character has going to be coming to play. And that's what it appears to be, well, ladies and gentlemen, if those of you following through, if you managed able to be playing through not only Mario Tennis Aces, but as well as Mario Golf Super Rush, as well as the forms of Mario Strikers Battle League Football, and of course Mario Kart 8 Deluxe with the Booster Course Pass DLC, well, I'm happy to report that Pauline, she's now finally become playable in a Mario Party game for the very first time within Super Mario Party Jamboree, and I'm gonna say, I am very happy about this, especially concerning for the fact that, well, in addition about the fact that she's now playable for the first time in a Mario Party game, but get this, is about the fact that if you, those of you girl players out there, will now able to actually play as every single woman, female Mario characters within a 4-player board game match, which is actually pretty cool. And to make matters even better though, our female players count was now 6 playable female Mario characters now. Like for instance, we able to have Princess Peach of course, as well as Princess Daisy, Rosalina, and Toadette, and Bodo, and now we have Pauline. So yeah, that's actually pretty awesome to me, especially concerning for the fact that I can totally see why, about the fact that this is going to be the biggest Mario Party game ever, even to this day. And on top of all that stuff though, is about the fact that they've shown us the forms of how the fact that, well, before we get into more details about the forms of other modes in general, well, as far as I'm aware, the playable characters count for this point right about now was actually now at 22 currently playable characters, which I think it actually to speak for itself about the fact that the character roster is going to be not only big or massive, but it's also going to be a massive improvement over the likes of how it does it in the forms of in some Mario Party games for sure, ranging from, let's just say, Mario Party Superstars only has like 10 playable characters, which I felt was a little bit disappointing, but regardless of everything else though, is about the fact that at least we still have, you know, Donkey Kong and Bodo and all that stuff. Although, unlike in the top 100 though, the character roster is very lackluster to me, which is especially noticeable concerning for the fact that, well, at least potentially speaking, while looking back in Juni forms within the character roster, not only for the likes of Mario Party Island Tour, but as well as Star Rush, they are pretty solid for the most part, whilst unlike the top 100 though, it just felt a bit incredibly, not only lame, but it's also very lackluster as well. Like they removed some playable characters ranging from Toad, Toadette, Donkey Kong essentially, and even Diddy Kong was been absent in the top 100, well that's besides the point. So, also as far as I'm aware, about the fact that when it comes to the forms of other stuff worth mentioning though, that's what appears to be about the fact that, well, speaking of which though, is about the fact that when it comes to items in Super Mario Party Jamboree, I think there was actually going to be a grand total of 37 items this time around too, which is also very big concerning for the fact that, like I said before, Super Mario Party Jamboree will be the biggest game in the series, which not only does it bring back the familiar items from not only from the likes of Super Mario Party, but as well as the forms of Mario Party Superstars as well. Like, you're still able to get yourselves double dice, including triple dice sets, in addition to custom dice block, in addition to the forms of Golden Pipe, which I'm pretty sure it functions the same way as the forms of how it does on the previous two Switch Mario Party games. So it actually takes you near to the star space, so nothing different from there. In addition to that, there is also the forms of Cursed Dice Block is going to make a comeback, and even the Charm Call, which as a result, yeah, I can totally see why it is about the fact that no wonder why Trump Call becomes a lot more popular these days since Mario Party 4, and it will continues to brought back during the forms of it not only in Mario Party the Top 100, but as well as the forms of Mario Party Superstars as well. And also Dueling Glove will make its return ever since also in Mario Party Superstars as well. But in addition to those items will make its return, there's also some familiar ones will make a comeback after the good old Mario Parties of old, which to be more specifically though, we're about to be getting Warp Pipe is going to be make its return as an item ever since in, let's just say in Mario Party 4, alongside with Mario Party 5 and Mario Party 6, and probably technically Mario Party 7, despite the fact that Mario Party 7 acts a little bit differently when it comes to Warp Pipes and stuff like that, for that nature. So either way. Also, I just realized I somehow missed one of those gems, so I suppose we're more able to go up to the staircase until for later, so for now we should probably be able to backtrack for a bit, so just in case I can able to try to figure something out. Oh, and by the way, every time whenever you go into the next room, while you're trying to able to keep on spreading and stuff like that, well basically though, Luigi does this little, animation right there, probably concerning for the fact that you've almost run out of breath or anything else like that. Well, thankfully though is about the fact that there's no stamina meter, unlike the forms of how it does it in not only The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, but as well as The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, so there's nothing else I can really say about it. So anyway, also, much like the forms of how it does it on, let's just say, in Mario Party 6, alongside with Mario Party 7, and even Mario Party 8 as well, some items are actually exclusive for certain boards. Like, for instance, there was actually by the forms of a new item was actually introduced, and that's what appears to be Wiggler Bell, where every time when you use that, you can able to actually let the Mega Wiggler be able to actually move into these different parts of the board. So that'll be only exclusive onto Mega Wiggler's Tea Party. So yeah, that's actually pretty swell. In addition to that, there's also the forms of, you know, the Turbo Die, which obviously knows about the fact that Turbo Die will only be accessible in Roll'em Raceway boards, which we've already know about that ever since in the announcement trailer, basically. So nothing different from there. But in addition to that, there's also the 200% sticker item, which obviously though that item will only be existent in Rainbow Galleria. So, and there's also this little conch shell item, which I think that item in particular was only going to be in Goomba Lagoon board, which makes it pretty obvious concerning for the fact it's almost like a tropical board and anything else like that. And what that does, at least what I've seen in footage anyway, that allows you to able to actually change between likely the water decides to able to get lower, and you can able to actually access to other paths and all that stuff. Although it's hard for me to explain, because I know for a fact that the most of these information comes from the Japanese website, which obviously knows about the fact that we'll hear more about that particular point once the actual game decides to able to go almost approaching to its release or anything else like that. So anyway, in addition to those, some returning items, in addition to new items was actually going to be introduced, but also about the fact that, do you guys even remember with the forms of the Hex items from Mario Party DS? Well, apparently though, one of those items in particular called Stars Ninja, or Coins Ninja, for what I've noticing this from the sake of some different amount of footages, basically though, it functions kind of like the same way as the forms of these hex items from Mario Party DS. However, though, is about the fact that the biggest difference is this time around, though, is this now on the Nintendo Switch, and on top of that, more playable characters were able to actually access to one of those items and stuff like that. So yeah, that's actually pretty awesome to me. And in regards to the forms of what else is new, in regards to the forms of Super Mario Party Jamboree, not only does it bring a new set of mini-games, but also, out of nowhere, we're about to be receiving some returning mini-games from Mario Party's past. Once again, it's going to be for console Mario Party games only, especially concerning for the fact that, well, after the release of Mario Party Superstars, which as a result we actually got quite a lot of returning mini-games from that game, especially concerning for the fact that it gets like a nostalgia factor. So it may look like that when it comes to Super Mario Party Jamboree, at least as far as I can tell, that game will basically be a combination of not only Super Mario Party, but as well as Mario Party Superstars, all in one particular concept, which not only does it bring new mini-games, but also returning retro mini-games here and there as well, from Mario Party's past. So, for instance, as far as I've noticed, some of those familiar mini-games will make a comeback, like, for instance, Bumper Balls from, let's just say, from Mario Party 1 version, and there was also Platform Peril from Mario Party 1, which I very appreciate they somehow include that now. And there's also Shy Guy Says, specifically the Mario Party 2 counterparts this time around, because technically we've already got the Mario Party 1 counterparts from the likes of Superstars, and now we're about to be getting the Mario Party 2 equivalent, meaning about the fact that it's going to take place in the skies. And on top of that, this time around though, the yellow Shy Guy is now going to be able to actually shoot the arrows at you, rather than just, you know, dressed up as a pirate. So, makes sense for the sake of the forms of how the actual visual presentation is going to be represented for. But, in addition to that, there's also the forms of Free Throw from Mario Party 4 is going to make a comeback, which I very appreciate about that, because I still managed to enjoy that particular minigame a lot. And there's also Stamp Out from Mario Party 4, Domination from Mario Party 4 as well, and in addition to that, there is also the forms of, let's just say, out of nowhere, Leaf Leap is going to make a return for, presumably for the third time or something like that, which I have no idea why they decided able to bring that minigame back again, except the fact that this time around though is going to most likely takes place in Super Mario Party Jamboree this time. So, and there's also going to be Gourmet Getaway from Mario Party 6, which I think that was actually a really great addition for that particular minigame to make a comeback. And there's also the forms of Defuse or Lose from Mario Party 5. That was very, very unexpected, able to bring that minigame back. Also, speaking of minigames though, yes, much like the forms of how it does it on Super Mario Party, as well as Mario Party Superstars, before you start the actual minigame itself, much like those two previous Switch Mario Party games, you can able to actually practice the minigame anytime before you're able to actually dive right into the actual minigame itself. So I just want to classify that. So nothing different from there, except the fact that the background is a lot more different this time. In addition to that though, it's now been animated this time when it comes to the actual backgrounds, rather than just like stilt background from the likes of not only for Super Mario Party, but as well as Mario Party Superstars here and there as well. So that's besides the point. So anyways though, also, as far as I'm aware, is about the fact that when it comes to other topics I would like to mention about this potentially, is that also out of nowhere, we also did somehow receive yet another trailer, but this time around though, for The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, showing us some more gameplay footage, and because of that, they added in some interesting features here and there. Like the trailer itself is called Into the Still World, A Journey Continued, and as a result, no matter what though, it's about the fact that something tells me about the fact that we can able to actually traverse into Still World counterparts of Hyrule itself, which I think is actually kind of cool, because it feels like you travel into a different dimension or something like that, or in some cases a different raft to able to actually go into. And as far as I'm aware, they also introduced some very cool abilities, like for instance the Sword Fighter form, where basically though if you manage to obtain the mysterious sword, you can now able to actually have the ability to attack, which as a result though, it kind of reminds me of, oh jeez, I totally forgot about that enemy over there, which as a result, yeah, I have no idea, I somehow did not pay attention to that little, weird ghost like this. But as far as I'm aware, it's about the fact that if you try to stun these ghosts like this, every time whenever you try to suck it up though, it actually shows us the forms of infinite amount of health that he somehow got. But potentially speaking, once you do manage to able to try to deal with him to begin with, then obviously though you can able to take care of him okay enough. So, anyways though, also, as far as I'm aware, is about the fact that if you're trying to able to actually utilize with the sword fighter form, it does manage to contain a gauge, by the way. So if you manage to able to actually use the sword fighter form, the gauge will somehow deplete. So because of that, though, now I believe in order to able to get the gauge full up, is that you need to collect those specific energy. So that's as far as I can try to say about this, I guess. Also, by the end of that particular trailer, well, obviously though, Link has now been possessed by evil power, which as a result though, that could be something more related to the forms of the fact that something is about to happen, assuming of course about the fact that the game needs to be released first. So as far as I'm aware, we've only got about approximately 22 days to go until The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom will be releasing during that time. So, also, as far as I'm aware, is about the fact that one of those Cartoon Network shows called Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends has officially became 20 this year. So because of that, yeah, nothing else I can really say about this, I guess. Well, it may look like we've actually met up with the forms of yet another type of ghost, and this what appears to be known as Sneaker. So basically though, is about the fact that all you have to really do is once again trying to able to stun one of those sneakers, and in fact that we somehow got 2 of those sneakers, which I think is actually pretty swell. But here's the thing though, if you're in the middle of this process where it comes to trying to able to suck up specific ghosts, every once in a while though is about the fact that one of those sneakers were able to try to able to interrupt your progress where it comes to sucking up ghosts. But for the most part though, these guys aren't that much of a big of a deal until later on, that is, which is especially noticeable concerning for the fact that we still on the forms of in a second mansion after all, but eventually at some points that those sneakers can get pretty annoying at times, until specifically towards the end game. So anyway, so let's go ahead and grab this key for reals.
Yeah. Ho ho. No, bad dog.
Oh man, I was assuming about the fact that we'll keep the key, but apparently though, one of those dog ghosts did somehow manage to able to steal our key, and as a result, that he just somehow tossed the key out of the window. So because of that, I get the strong feeling about the fact that the mission itself is, well, completed, apparently. So because of that though, yeah, we need to make our way back to the lab before we're able to actually tackle through the next mission until, specifically until on Friday, presumably speaking. So, I suppose beggars can't be choosers, I guess, especially how the fact that that's how progression system works, I guess. Well, still, I know for a fact that about the fact it has been about, I would say it's been about 5 days ago since actually I've last played this game for sure. I don't suppose if you noticed, but that's mainly because, again, I'll let Ray the Flying Squirrel will mention more about that specific detail about the phone's this uploading schedule break. But either way, so yeah, we somehow got all 5 of those remaining gems in that particular mission, so that's actually pretty cool. So thankfully though, we don't have to necessarily try to worry about collecting all these gems for the time being for Haunted Towers, because, well, we somehow got them all. So either way though, now, also, there is actually another thing that's worth mentioning for, in regards to the forms of something relates to, well, Super Mario Party Jamboree. That's what appears to be about the fact that I also realized is that some returning minigames, specifically Shy Guy Says, Bumper Balls, and anything else potentially, now actually supports 5 players, which I think is actually pretty unexpected, although it's never exactly clear of what's going on to be more specifically though, but I'm sure about the fact that if the actual game comes out, obviously though about the fact I can able to actually mention about the forms of specific clear details of what is actually going on when it comes to 5 players are now participating in some returning minigames. So anyway, also there was actually one last thing I want to mention about. Well, suffice to say, Mario Kart Tour is not done. So because of that though, until by that time, until sometime in October, we're going all the way back to the beginning of this particular rerun cycle, which means about the fact that after the forms of the second rerun of the 2023 anniversary tour, we're about to be going back into 2022 tour once again for, presumably speaking now, I think this is technically the 3rd time we can able to actually go back into Battle Tour for the sake of the forms of 2022 tour. So yeah, it may look like about the fact that the service is not going to be shutting down anytime soon for Mario Kart Tour, which I'm a little bit bummed out about. So, but that's just me. So with that being said, folks, is that we get endings of this point right here. So join me next time for more of Let's Play of Luigi's Mansion 2, aka Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon. And that's what appears to be about the fact that we're going on to the next mission in Haunted Towers, which is Mission B-5, Doggone Key. So hopefully we're able to get that key this time around, hopefully. So I'll see you guys on Friday. Later, fellas.